Hi everybody. Today we're going to be working on the legs. So our legs do a lot for us. They carry us around, help us move, and we're going to give them a little bit of love. I'm going to be practicing mostly from the floor today. We'll be doing a little bit of standing as well. You're more than welcome to practice in a chair if that feels more comfortable for you. Also, I'm going to grab myself a blanket here. If you don't have a yoga blanket that looks like this is completely fine. Grab a towel, a pillow, something that you can sit on that gives your hips just a little bit of a lift. So find your way to your seated position, whether that's in a chair or on your mat. And you can sit cross-legged like I am, or maybe there's another shape that feels better for you today. That's completely fine. Let's just close the eyes if you choose, or find a spot to focus on, and we'll connect with our breath before going into some more movement. If you can, breathing in and out through the nose. Maybe noticing where the legs connect to the floor. So if you're seated, maybe it's the soles of your feet. If you're in your chair, if you're on your mat, maybe the outer legs or hips or outer feet are connecting to the floor, whatever it is. Just finding those spaces that are connecting to that ground, that grounding space. Good. Couple more breaths. Nice. If the eyes are closed, slowly begin to blink the eyes open. Let's take the shoulders up and back a couple times. Nice. So we'll start with just giving the legs a little bit of a rub. So you can bring your legs out in front or to the side. I'm going to turn a little bit so you can see here. And just start by maybe giving the thighs a little squeeze or a little rub. You can even bring your hands into gentle fists and just kind of gentle taps, maybe to those outer hips as well. Outer thighs, taps to the thighs. If you can reach the back of the thighs, maybe you bend one knee or you scoot a little forward on your chair, giving the legs a tap or a squeeze, whatever feels good. Make sure you do both sides. Good. Squeeze and tap. Nice, and if you can reach the lower legs, maybe you do the same thing there. Give those shins and calves a good little rub. Again, maybe a gentle tap, especially those calves tend to be a little more tight sometimes. Good, make sure you do both sides. So especially if you ever have any issues with the knees, keeping the legs nice and happy will help sometimes with the discomfort in the knee. So if your calves tend to be a little extra tight, or maybe your thighs can kind of pull on those knees in different ways. And if we keep those legs feeling relaxed and balanced, we can keep the knee a little happier too. Great. If you can bring one foot to your thigh, awesome. Maybe give that foot a little rub. If not, you can always continue with shin and calf or thigh, where really whatever feels good. If you feel okay to touching the bottom of your feet, maybe you rub your arch and your heel. Can kind of give those toes a little squeeze. Good. Same thing on the other side. Give those feet a rub. Maybe the arch and the heel by the base of the toes. Squeeze those toes a little bit. Good, another couple breaths here. Wonderful. Bringing those legs out again, maybe bending the toes, circling the ankles. Wonderful. Okay, so if you're seated in a chair, take your feet a little bit wider than your hips. If you're on the mat, you're going to bend the right leg and keep the left leg long. So you can always add some support underneath here, and this foot does not have to be super close. It can be closer to the foot than it is to that inner thigh. So you find what works best for you. Wherever you are, get nice and tall. So feel that spine lengthen. And as you move forward, really try to find that movement coming from the hip instead of the back. So we're not kind of rounding here. We're trying to keep the spine long and tilting forward at the pelvis. So wherever you are, finding that movement. Starting to find some stretching here, maybe along the back of this left hamstring or the back of the left calf. You can even actively try to pull those toes back towards you. That will definitely deepen your sensation. Let's take 2 more breaths here. You're doing great. Good. Slowly come back up. Let's switch it out. So if you're in your chair, start to lean over to the right leg. If you're on your mat, left leg bends. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, slowly fold it forward. Good, a few more breaths. Nice, and then slowly come back upright. Good. You're going to bring the soles of your feet together and the knees out to the side. So even on your chair, bring the soles of the feet together on the floor and let the knees just kind of fall out to the side gently. Good. This is called Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose. And let's just start with a little bit of rocking side to side, getting a bit more into the hips and low back. Good. And then eventually kind of coming towards that center, finding that forward fold. Hands can rest wherever it feels good for you, on the legs or the feet or a block. Full breaths. Good. One more breath here. And then slowly rise back up. Let's keep one leg bent and bring the other leg out to the side. If you're seated in your chair, just kind of take one leg out to one side. And we're going to bring the right hand either to the right thigh or the right shin, wherever it reaches here. And maybe those left fingertips reach up and over. So we get a bit of a side stretch, but we're also stretching through that inner thigh. Good. A few more breaths here. Bring it back to center. Let's take that right leg in and switch it out. Left leg goes out to the side. Same thing here. Left hand's going to come to the left thigh or the shin. Right arm up and over. Few more breaths. Doing great. Nice. Bring it on back. Bring that leg back in. Okay, so here's a few different options here. We're going to start to work a little bit on that outer hip glute area, which they're super big muscles. There are big mover muscles. They help us stand and walk and bend down, all of that. So it's really important to stretch out those spaces. They can cause discomfort in the low back as well as the knees, as I talked about earlier. So let's get into those spaces. This move definitely depends on the movement of your knee, so always be a good listener to your knees for sure. I'm going to show you a few different options. If you're seated in a chair, you can either take that left leg and cross the ankle in front of the right ankle. If you can bring that left ankle to the right thigh, you can do that seated in a chair. If you're on a mat, you can either bring the left ankle in front of the right knee, or maybe you take that left ankle and bring it on top of the right thigh. So those are all your different options. Be sure to find the one that feels really good for you. And then when you're ready, we're going to get really tall on the spine. Nice, nice tall spine. And then maybe start to find a tilt forward. So it might not be a big movement, and that's completely fine. Hands can stay by the sides. You can use a block out in front. If the fingertips want to walk a little forward, you can. But you should feel a pretty big stretch on that left outer glute hip space. Okay, so we'll take a few more breaths here. Nice big breath in, and then maybe a ha breath out. Good. Let's do that a few more times. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. Couple more breaths here. Again. Nice. Slowly walk those hands back in, and we'll switch it. Same options for the other side. So that right, if you're seated in a chair, right ankle in front of left, or maybe that right ankle comes to the left thigh. If you're seated on a mat, maybe right foot goes in front of that left knee, or maybe it goes on top of that left thigh. You choose it. And one side might need something a little different, so feel free to do a different variation on this side. Inhale first, get really, really tall. Exhale, start to tilt forward. Again, as you tilt forward, you might notice more sensation a little bit sooner on this side, or maybe less sensation. It's really up to you to find your own edge and be a good listener to your body. Breathing in and out through the nose, or you can exhale through the mouth, especially if this feels like a pretty intense sensation. You can add that exhale through the mouth. Very good. Nice. One more breath. And then slowly walking those hands back up. Great. Releasing the legs, coming into whatever comfortable seated position is for you. We're going to shift into our Shavasana, or resting section of class. So if you're seated in a chair, if you have an opportunity to put your feet up on something, that would be great. Coffee table, bench, another chair, whatever you've got nearby, just to elevate the feet a little bit. If you're practicing on your mat and it feels okay to come down to the floor, come all the way down. Bring the back to the mat. And we'll just start with one leg. So hands can come behind the thigh. We're going to gently lift one leg up towards the ceiling. And just find some breath here. Taking a little upside down time is great. If it feels okay to have both legs up at once, you can do that as well. It's really just kind of up to you. And you can give those hamstrings a little bit of a rub or a gentle tap if you want. This upside down time or elevated time, if you're in a chair, is just really great for circulation in the legs, circulation of the lymphatic system. So taking this upside down time whenever you can. Good. If you have one leg lifted, go ahead and switch it out. Take about 5 more breaths here, wherever you are. Nice. And if you have an opportunity to keep the legs elevated, whether it's just a little bit, maybe lift it up on a blanket or a pillow, awesome. You can even do legs up the wall if you've practiced that with me before. Otherwise, if not, just find a comfortable position, whatever shape feels good for you. And we'll find that even breath. Just letting the body do its own thing, letting go of any restriction or work with the breath. Jaw and shoulders soften. Legs feel heavy and relaxed. Good. Slowly starting to come back to the breath, wiggling fingers and toes, slowly starting to wake up the body, taking all the time you need. Thank you so very much for practicing with me today and taking some time out for yourself.